Hi guys, welcome back to Fully Paid Miniatures. This is Drogs, and this is going to be my second attempt at defeating the Prince of Gluttony for Aeons and second edition on expert difficulty, which uses these increased difficulty rules. They seem pretty simple, but when you actually play them out, they do make these nemesises significantly more difficult and much more of a puzzle. You can't just kind of get lucky with a half decent deck. You kind of have to have everything clicking on full cylinders. So for this attempt, I changed up the Breach Mages and the store a little bit. I've been using kind of the same setup since I defeated the first Nemesis, Rageborn, and then quickly defeated the Carapace Queen first try, which was awesome. I did decently against Prince of Gluttony. I probably could have just stayed with the same store and mages and probably powered through in a couple of attempts, but I thought I'd mix it up and do something a little different. So our first mage we're taking today is Phadraxia. She does not have a first breach. Her second breach is open, and then she has third and fourth breach, both costing 7. Her unique card is the Tourmaline Shard. Gains 1 power, just like a crystal, and it also allows you an ally to take 1 damage and destroy a card. So it does give you a little curation there. I actually didn't take any healing at all, so I don't know if I'm going to take full advantage of that card, but that's okay. Her special ability is Auspex Rune. It allows you to prevent any damage that the players or Gravehold would suffer during that entire turn. And you activate that immediately after a turn order card is drawn. So basically, if I feel like Prince of Gluttony is going to have a big combo that turn, he's going to unleash. That affects all the creatures. If there's a bunch of powers, they're going to activate on that activation. I get to cancel all those out. I get to cancel out the damage from the unleashes. So I feel like she's a really, really good mage for Prince of Gluttony. I'm not quite sure how to partner her up. But I went with Jian. So I don't think this is the most optimized setup, but it is what it is. So Jian, I picked her because she starts with 2 open breaches. So even though I lose 1, I can only have a maximum of 7. I do start with 3 open. And then she has a Moonstone Shard, which acts as a gem. Generates 1 power, but it also generates 2 power if I want to purchase another gem. So it helps her get her economy going a little bit stronger. And then her special ability is the only one that only costs 4 charges and allows you to cast a prep spell without discarding it and then cast it again. So effectively it allows you to double cast, which is okay. It's not the strongest, it's definitely the weakest of all the special abilities. And again, talking about optimization, I don't have a 6 or 7 cost spell. So I don't have the most high damage spells that you can put in your store. So that's probably going to limit her a little bit. She might be better with someone like Zaxos, who could just power up her special ability. I'll let her use it. So you could use her special ability and then use Zaxos' special ability, which would immediately charge hers, and then use her special ability again. Maybe something like that would be really cool. But yeah, I didn't want to use Kadir to kind of cancel out the damage from her original ability. That might be a better combination, or maybe Mist, get to draw some additional cards. But yeah, maybe that what I'll do next time if I lose. I'll switch up Phadraxia with Mist and then put Jian with Zaxos instead of Mist. Maybe that would make more sense. Anyway, that's how we're going to do it. Prince of Gluttony, what makes him special is he eats cards from your store. And whenever he unleashes, he eats 3 cards. And then there's some special abilities that cause him to eat more, like from minions and stuff. And say you only had 1 card left of, say, a Jade, he would eat that last one, and then he would do 2 damage for each card that's missing. So then he would do 4 damage to directly to Gravehold. And this is how I lost the last games. He actually devoured my entire store. So I had nothing left in the store, and that's an automatic lose. But, you know, my Gravehold was actually a decent life. My mages were fine, and I was handling the minions okay. And I was doing decent damage. I had him down to like half life, but he took out my whole store. So the idea I'm going to be playing with for this game is I configured my store to be a little bit cheaper, so it's easier for me to buy those cards. And I'm just going to basically buy from his Devour pile and not touch the store at all. And we'll see how it goes. So the cards I picked Jade, which is a 2 cost, 2 power generating gem. That's probably my favorite of all the gems. I also kept the Verswood Amber, which is a 3 cost, 2 power generating, but it lets you put it on top of your deck instead of your discard pile. And then I swapped out the Burning Opal for Diamond Cluster. It's a little cheaper. Instead of 5 cost, it's a 4 cost. Generates 2 power instead of 3. But if you have 2 Diamond Clusters in your hand, then the second one generates 4 power. So the 2 of them combined will generate 6. And because I figured that would be a good, I don't usually use that gem. I don't like it very much, but because he would devour like 3 of them in a row, and then I could buy 3 of them in a row. That could actually work out pretty well. And then I took Focusing Orb. Allows you to focus your breaches, and you can use it to heal Gravehold, so I love that card. I did swap out Mage's Talisman, which I'm still not sure about, for Blasting Staff. You may cast a prep spell that you prepared this turn, and that spell deals 2 additional damage for 4. So this is just kind of a way for me to get a little extra damage, since I'm taking cheaper cards and spells overall. I kept Spectral Echo, deal 2 damage. You may destroy a card in your hand for 3 cost. So I can get rid of some of those crystals and sparks. I kept Ignite. This is going to be my charge generation. So I want all those. I kept my Amplified Vision, which, you know, I might not even need, but I like that it becomes a 3 damage spell at 4 cost, which is pretty efficient. And then I swapped out Essence Theft for Oblivion Swell. So while prepped during your main phase, you generate a power. So the way I play that is, since I prep it during my main phase, I still generate that power from it on its original turn. And then also when you cast it, it deals 2 damage, plus you can discard a gem for additional damage. So if I discard a Jade, it becomes 4, Verswood, it becomes 5, or a Diamond Cluster becomes 6 damage, potentially 7 with a on a 3rd or 4th breach, and actually 9 if I use a Blasting Staff on it. So that way I can still generate a pretty high damaging spell while still keeping the cost pretty low. And it generates extra power for me to purchase the cards from the Devour pile. All right, so let's get to it. All right, Phadraxia is going to go first. She's going to prep her Spark, and she's going to generate 4 power. And an ally may pay 1 life. No, I'm going to hold off on that for now. She's just going to generate 4 power and buy a Diamond Cluster. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She's still going to buy the Diamond Cluster, but I forgot to set up the Devour pile. So the way the Devour pile sets up is you get all 3 gems, most expensive to cheapest, go down first. And then I get to choose, but in the increased difficulty rules, he takes an additional 9. So I'm just going to take 1 of each. In order. And those get dropped there. So I'm still going to keep this turn the same. Actually, would have preferred if I had 5 power, I would have taken the first 2, but that's okay. All right, and then her next turn is going to be 4 crystals and a spark. Nemesis goes next, nothing on the board. And first turn, we get the Thoughtbiter. Persistent, any player suffers 2 damage. or devour 2 relics from the least expensive supply pile. And he has 6 life. And then we get Jan. She's going to prep 2 sparks, and she's going to generate 3 power, 4 towards a spell. And she's going to grab an ignite. Next turn, 3 crystals and 2 sparks. Nemesis goes first, so Phaedraxia is going to take 2 damage. I don't really want, bringing her to 8, I don't really want to keep devouring cards at this point. Alright, Jan's going to go first. She's going to cast 2 sparks, dealing 2 damage to the Thoughtbiter. Oh, I forgot to draw a card. I'm so sorry. I'm out of it today. Devour 2 cards from the second most expensive gem supply pile, and any player suffers 2 damage. So it's going to draw Jan to 8. I'm already regretting not taking Essence Theft. And 2 Vrisswoods get devoured. And now it's back to Jan's turn. She does 2 damage to the Thoughtbiter. She preps 2 sparks, and then she's going to buy a single Vrisswood. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. And her next turn will be Vrisswood, Ignite, Moonstone Shard, and 2 crystals. And we get Phaedraxia first. She's going to cast Spark, dropping the Thoughtbiter to 3. She's going to prep a Spark, and then she has 4 with which to take an Amplify Vision. I'm already breaking my rule. I 2, 3, 4. I want to just be buying stuff from the devour pile. Okay. I don't know. I'm already having second thoughts about this setup. I don't know. We'll see. All right, I'm going to pour myself a cup of coffee real quick. I have right here. And I just spilled coffee everywhere. Give me 1 second. Okay. That's better. All right, so we're back to Phaedraxia. She's going to cast Spark for 1 damage to the Thoughtbiter. She doesn't have anything to prep, but this is worth 3, 6 power she generates, and an ally can choose to... No, I'm probably not going to do that because I don't have any healing. 6 power, I'll buy Vrisswood and a Jade for 5. And her next turn will have Amplify Vision, Spark, Vrisswood, 2 crystals. And Nemesis goes next. So Thoughtbiter. I'll just have Jan take 2 damage. It just wasn't really an issue last time. Any player suffers 3 damage or devour 3 spells from any supply pile. I will do the 3 spells, and I will do 3 Spectral Echoes. All right, Jan's going first. She's going to cast 2 sparks, which is enough to kill the Thoughtbiter. That's nice. And she's going to prep an Ignite. And she generates 3 4 power, 5 towards a spell. So she's going to buy Spectral Echo and a Jade. Her next turn will be 2 sparks, 3 crystals. And we get Phaedraxia first. She's going to prep Amplify Vision, and she generates 4 power. She's going to use to buy Spectral Echo. just to hold on to the spark for now. 2. So she only gets to draw 4 cards. And she gets another spark, jade, and 2 crystals. And we get Jan first. She's going to cast Ignite, deals 2 damage. So that's our first strike on the Prince of Gluttony, dropping him to 68. That also generates a charge for Phyrexian. She then preps 2 sparks. She has 3 power, and she buys the Spectral Echo. Her next turn is going to have Spectral Echo, 2 sparks, a jade, and a Versewood. Nemesis next, nothing on the board. And we get Haze Spewer. This is a 5-life minion. Does damage equal to its life to Gravehold on each turn. And then it suffers 1 damage. So if he activates, he does 5 damage, and then the second activation would be 4. Etc. Unless I damage him first. So, can be very dangerous. It really depends. If I get 2 Nemesis activations in a row right here, it's going to do 9 damage to Gravehold. But if I get my player's activations first, I have 4 damage on deck. Drop it to 1 right off the bat. Even if he does get to attack, he ends up killing himself. So, it really just depends on what the turn order cards end up being after you draw them. My dogs are being very well behaved today. All right, we're going to start for Phyrexian. She's going to cast Amplify Vision. That's going to do 2 damage to the Haze Spewer and focus her 3rd breach. So we'll turn that. That allows me to prep both sparks. And then she's going to generate 4 power. And she's going to buy that Versewood. So that'll go into the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And her next turn will be Diamond Cluster, Versewood, Tourmaline Shard, and 2 crystals. And we get Jan. And she's going to cast both sparks. And that is going to drop the Haze Spewer to 1 health. Just like I was talking about. Which is great. Prep both sparks. Oh, no, sorry. Spectral Echo and a spark. And she generates 4 power. And she's going to buy that Diamond Cluster. And we're going to hold on to this last spark. So she draws 4 cards. Ignite, 2 crystals, and Moonstone Shard. And we get the Nemesis. So the Haze Spewer is going to activate first and do 1 damage to Gravehold, dropping it to 29. But that kills itself. So that takes it off the board. And then we draw Banesire. I hate this guy. He unleashes every activation, and he has 6 life. I think it's probably the most dangerous of all the basic Nemesis Tier 1 cards. He has lost me more games than any other card, just because he tends to come out so early before you have any real offense. And when you just have your first couple sparks and no spells, it takes a while to whittle him down. You end up unleashing like 3 times. Oh, man. All right. So, Banesire unleashes. That means he devours the 3 of your cheapest cards, which in my case are the Jades. So, 3 Jades go on the Devour pile. And then we draw. Eye of Nothing, power 2, unleash twice. You can discard, spending 6 power. All right. Jan's going first. She's going to cast Spark and Spectral Echo. That's going to do 3 damage to the Banesire, dropping him to 3. She's then going to prep. Oh, and she's going to use the Spectral Echo to destroy the Spark. She's then going to prep Ignite. She generates 3 power, 4 towards a spell. Very inefficient. But I will take a Jade. No. I'll take another Ignite. Just doesn't make sense to take a 2-cost card instead of a 4. if I lose 1 point of efficiency, it's okay. But I'm too autistic to let myself do that. All right, Spark, Spectral Echo, 3 crystals. And we get Phadraxia. She's going to cast 2 sparks, dropping the Banesire to 1. Not too shabby. And then we have power generation. We have 2, 4, 5, 7. So we're going to buy all 3 of these Jades for 6. 2, 3, 4, 5. She's going to have Spectral Echo, Versewood, and 3 crystals. So I probably should have discarded I have nothing. I'm really going to regret it if I don't get rid of that. And I don't actually have enough power on hand. Jan has 3, Phadraxia has 5. So I'm probably going to regret that move. But I haven't played in 4 or 5 days. I tend to shoot most of these videos kind of back to back over the weekend and then release like one every day, one every other day throughout the week. I just don't have time during the week with work and everything to do these videos that often. I did film one in the middle of the week, but I'm feeling a little rusty right now. So that's not good. So we remove a power token and they unleash again. So that means we take the Jade, and then because there's only 1 card there, Gravehold is going to take 4 damage, dropping it to 25. Then we draw a card, Godfeeders. 8 life, Gravehold suffers 3 damage, and devour a gem from the most expensive supply pile. So starting to feel a little bit behind that 8 ball. All right, we're going to prep Spectral Echo and generate 5 power. I'm going to buy an Oblivion's. I don't know what to do. 5 power is just not particularly useful in this situation. Okay. I'm going to buy this Jade. I'm going to buy this Versewood. Get my economy going at least. 2, 3, 4. And so her next turn, Amplify Vision, Jade, 2 crystals, and a Versewood. So there is my 6 power. If I get another activation before Nemesis. And I do. Nice. So that really helps me out. I'm going to cast Spectral Echo. I am not going to destroy any cards, though. I'm just going to do 2 damage, killing the Banesire. And then I'm going to spend 6 from the Versewood, the Jade, and the 2 crystals to discard the Eye of Nothing. And then I'm going to prep Amplify Vision. So that worked out very well. And then 3 Jades, 2 Sparks. And now the Nemesis goes. Okay. So that does, the Godfeeder does 3 damage to Gravehold, dropping us to 22. And then devours a Diamond Cluster. And then we draw a card. Seraphage, 7 life minion. Devour cards equal to this minion's life from 1 supply pile. Then this minion suffers 2 damage. You do not want him to attack at full life. Okay, get Phadraxia. She's gonna, or Gian, sorry. She's gonna cast Ignite, and she's gonna do 2 damage to the Seraphage, and that generates a charge for Phadraxia. She's then gonna prep Spectral Echo and Spark, and she generates 3 power. Enough for a Spectral Echo. She's going to get Spectral Echo, Spark, Diamond Cluster, Jade, Versewood on her next turn, which it is her turn. So she's going to cast Spark and Spectral Echo, dealing 3 damage to the Seraphage, dropping him to 2. And she's going to destroy the Spark. She's then going to prep Spectral Echo, and she generates 6 power. So she's going to take Diamond Cluster, and a Charge. So I don't have a lot of ways of generating charges because I didn't take the Sapphire or the Mage's Talisman. I do have Ignites. But there's only 5 of those, and they only generate 1 charge for your ally. But when you fight Prince of Gluttony, since you end up going through the Devour pile, you typically end up with a lot more gems than you normally would. I'm also taking cheaper spells, so I'm going to have a more advanced economy than I typically would in most of these games. So what do you think? I'm excited. I'm hoping to shoot 5 videos this weekend and release all 5 of them next week, Monday through Friday. I've been doing 3 a week. This last week I did 4. Yeah, and I just hope you guys like it. And that's kind of going to be the plan going forward. If I can keep up that pace, I'm going to do... This is not an Aeons End channel, by the way. This is just solo board gaming, solo wargaming in general. Just games I like. So I am planning to, after I defeat Prince of Gluttony and Crooked Mask, I'm going to go to one of the expansions, which I have over in the corner. I'm going to crack that open. It's got 2 new Nemesises, a new Breach Mage or 2, and like 8 new spells. We'll try all those out. And after I go through all them on normal with randomizers and then expert difficulty, I plan on playing through Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion next, which should give me about 25-30 videos. And hopefully in a couple months, I have League of Dungeoneers coming from Kickstarter. I managed to get the second printing of that. And I'm going to roll up a team and play through that. And that might, I don't know how many videos, that's going to be 100, something like that. So that'll be a good, fun 3-4 months. All right, we're starting with the Nemesis pile. So Grave Feeders go first. Does 3 damage, 2 Grave Hold, dropping us to 19. It also devours a Diamond Cluster. Then the Seraphage activates, devour cards. So it'll devour 2 cards from any supply pile. I'm going to have it do 2 Focusing Orbs because I want some of those. But that actually kills the Seraphage. So not all bad news. And then, that's a rough one. Unleash twice. Any player suffers 2 damage. So the cards have to come from the least expensive supply pile. So that is going to be the first one. Is going to be 2 Vrisswoods. Get devoured. And then 4. So I get to choose the next one after that. I will choose these 2 Focusing Orbs. This is a fat little devour pile. So at this point, I don't want to buy any of these. I think one of the keys to facing Prince of Gluttons, I'm realizing that I didn't do, is when you have the option of what cards to devour. This is why it's also really good. I actually should swap this card out, I think, for a 4-cost spell. So that my highest cost is 4. That lets you choose what you want him to devour. Because it makes it very difficult for me to buy these. But I want them. So by choosing what he devours, you can kind of choose what you purchase. Anyway, that's kind of my thought process if I don't win this one. All right, we're going to go with Phaedraxia. Going to cast Amplify Vision. It's going to do 2 damage to God Feeders. And it's going to focus that 3rd breach, allowing me to prep both sparks. I then get 6 power from the 3 Jades. I'm going to buy a Focusing Orb and a Charge. I want to get those special abilities rolling. All right. And we now have Tourmaline Shard, Vrisswood, Diamond Cluster, and 2 crystals. So that is 7 power on her next turn. And we get Jan. I forgot to draw her hand ahead of time. So if those games sound good to you, let me know in the comments below. I do have other games. I have other solo card games. I have both Spire's End and Spire's End Hildegard. I also have the Roll and Write Zombicide game. I also have a ton of Zombicide and Massive Darkness that I want to get through, but I want to paint all those up first. I haven't been painting much lately, unfortunately. Okay, so we are now using Jan. That's really unfortunate. So 3, 4 for a gem. Okay. So I'm going to cast Spectral Echo. It's going to deal 2 damage to God Feeders. Dropping. Sorry, I can only do one thing at a time, so I started talking off topic, and I totally forgot what I was doing. So that's going to bring God Feeders down to 4 life. I'm also going to destroy this Spark. She's going to prep and ignite, and we're going to generate 3 power, 4 towards a gem, and I will be buying a Diamond Cluster. It was that or a single charge were my 2 options, so not very efficient, not very good, but that's okay. Her next turn, ignite, Spectral Echo, and 3 crystals. And we do get Phaedraxia this again. So we're going to cast 2 sparks, dropping the Godfeeder to 2, getting out from under that, and we're going to generate 7 power. I'm not going to be using Tourmaline Shard. 4, 6, yep, 7 power. So let's buy Focusing Orb. Oh, and a Verswood. Very nice. Perfect. Couldn't ask for a better play there. 2, 3, 4, 5. And 2 crystals, 2 Verswoods, and a Jade. So that is 8 power generation. But we do get Nemesis again first. Godfeeders does 3 damage, dropping Grateful to 16. And then he's going to eat that final Diamond Cluster. And we draw. Pulverizing Ray, power 1. This is the one that does 18 damage. You can discard up to 6 gems when it activates. And for each gem you discard, it does 3 damage. I actually kind of would like for that to activate right now because I got 5 crystals. But I don't think that's going to happen. All right. Jan's going next. She's going to cast Ignite. That does 2 damage, and that is enough to kill the Godfeeders. Get him out of there. That also generates a charge for Phaedraxia, putting her up to 4. So we almost have that ability up. Then we're going to prep Ignite, Spectral Echo, and she generates 3 power, which she can't buy anything with, but she can buy a charge. 2, 3, 4, 5. But I don't know if you guys have noticed, Phaedraxia's still at 8 life, Jan's still at 6. So after that first 2 turns, nothing has done any damage at all. Oh, look, 2 Diamond Clusters and a Jade. Spectral Echo and a Spark. So that generates 2 power. 4. Bring me a 6, 8 on her next turn. Pretty cool. Yeah, I think I have some other games too. And as I get some of the stuff painted up, I'm going to be buying more stuff. And my plan is I want to get the full setup going for Rangers of Shadowdeep as well. Probably going to be buying most of that stuff off of Reaper. I really don't have any terrain either. So that's going to take me probably the rest of the year to get that stuff collected and painted. But if you guys are interested in that, I would love to, roll that up and get all the different supplements. And for Rangers of Shadowdeep, I do have a PDF copy of the core rulebook, and it just looks so much fun. But yeah, let me guys know what type of games you want to see, and if it aligns at all with my interests, I'll check it out. Maybe. All right. Phaedraxia first. She has nothing prepped. 5 crystals. This generates 8 power. So she's going to buy this Diamond Cluster and this Versewood for 7. And her next hand is going to be a Spectral Echo, 2 Versewoods, a Jade, and a Crystal. So that's again 7 power plus a spell. And she does get to go again. So we're going to prep that Spectral Echo and the 7 power. We're going to buy a Focusing Orb and a Charge. So her special ability is now fully activated. And in fact, I'm going to use that to cancel out the Pulverizing Ray. Rather than waste 6 cards. Because I hate that ability. It typically only does 3 damage to Gravehold, but I end up discarding 5 of my cards, so it just wastes 2 of my turns. Or at least I feel that way. Alright, and her next turn, we're getting an Amplify Vision, a Focusing Orb, and 2 Crystals and a Jade. So that's going to be 4 power, Focusing Orb, and Amplify Vision. Alright, Nemesis card. Immediately as it's drawn, I'm going to be activating Auspex Rune from Phyrexian, her special ability, and it cancels out all damage to Gravehold or to either player for the remainder of the turn. So then Pulverizing Ray is going to activate, doing 18 damage. I'm not going to discard anything because Auspex Rune takes care of it. And we draw Needlemaw. It's an 11 life minion that does 2 damage to Gravehold every activation. It's not too bad for a tier 2. I have less of a problem with this guy than I do with the Banesire. Typically. Alright. So that was a pretty sweet special ability. I've never used that before. Alright, so we get Jan next. She's going to cast Ignite and Spectral Echo. It's going to do 4 damage to the Needlemaw. Dropping the 7. And that allows her to destroy a card. She's going to destroy Spark. And it also gives a charge to Phyrexian. Start getting that back up again. And then she's going to prep a Spectral Echo. And she has 2, 6, 8 power. And she's going to buy Focusing Orb and Diamond Cluster. Very nice. So I'm pretty happy with how everything's going. I do want to curate my decks a little bit more. So I probably should have been using her ability when I could from her unique card, but that's all right. Live and you learn. So we get another Spectral Echo, Moonstone Shard, Versewood, Diamond Cluster, Crystal. So that's worth 5, 6 power, 7 towards a spell. All right, and she does get to go again. So we're going to cast Spectral Echo, deal 2 damage to the Needlemaw, and we're going to use that to destroy this crystal. We're going to prep another Spectral Echo, and then this generates 4, 5 power, 6 towards a spell, and we're just going to buy a Focusing Orb. Two, three, 4. Four crystals and an Ignite. And our next turn is the Nemesis. Okay, Needlemaw activates first. He's going to do 2 damage to Gravehold, bring us to 14 life. And then we draw a card. Another creature, Mind Guzzler. Set this minion's life to 8 plus the number of empty supply piles, and he unleashes. Basically just a Banesire with higher life. And I have 5 empty supply piles. So 13 life on the Mind Guzzler. Okay. Yeah, so if you couldn't tell by the game selection, I tend to like solitaire style card games and dungeon crawls. And that's kind of my jam. And I also like miniature wargaming, skirmish games and war games. I currently, since my girlfriend broke up with me, she was my main person that I played these games with. I've been playing more solo games. I do have a number of non-solo games, but kind of don't really have anyone to play those with right now. And so the miniature wargaming skirmish game thing kind of fell apart too. So I've been looking more into solo miniature games. I just don't really have the terrain and setup for a lot of those yet. So I'm hoping League of Dungeoneers will kind of hold me over, which is kind of like a solo D&D experience where you can create 4 characters and just go on this never-ending campaign. It uses standees instead of miniatures because it would, I think there's something like 600 standees for all the different heroes and monsters, and it would just be obscene if you actually had all those miniatures and had to paint them all. Although you can definitely play the game with miniatures. So that would maybe that's a grail task to, if I like it enough, that I'd eventually replace all the standees with miniatures. All right, Jan's going to go first. We're going to cast Spectral Echo, do 2 damage to the Mind Guzzler. I am much more worried about unleashing than I am damage to Gravehold. And we're going to destroy Crystal. She's going to prep and ignite. And... oh, no. Not destroying that Crystal. And I'm going to use the 4 to buy this Blasting Staff. Okay. Ooh, 2 diamonds. Focusing Orb. Ignite. Spectral Echo. Ugh. Okay. Gravehold takes 2 damage. Drops us to 12. Mind Guzzler unleashes. So that's going to eat 3 cards of my choosing. We're going to eat the 3 Amplify Visions. And then we draw a card. Unleash twice and Gravehold suffers 3 damage. Absolutely not. Or we bring back Godfeeders. 8 life. Okay. So at this point, I think it's fair to say I'm going to lose this game. I put my odds at winning at around 20%. This is not how I wanted it to go. There is 5, 16, 24 life on the board, just in minions, not counting Prince of Gluttony. And I do not have my offense set up yet. I still just have the 3 open breaches. I haven't opened anything else. My decks are not curated. They're huge, so it takes a long time for me to get to those cards. And I just don't have the offensive firepower for that. Her special ability was sweet, but it basically just prevented me from discarding 6 cards. Yeah. I really wanted to get those Oblivion Spells early and have them help me purchase through the Devourers, and I didn't play it properly. But hey, you live and you learn. Oh, ouch. This is when I want her special ability. Okay, Gravehold takes 2 damage. We unleash. I'm going to take 3 Blasting Staffs. Gravehold takes 3 damage, dropping us to 7. And it doesn't devour a gem because there's no more gems. And we get another creature, the Venomite. 9 life. Player with the lowest life suffers 2 damage, or you discard a prep spell that costs 3 or more. So now we are up to, 33 life on the board? Not good. Jan's going to cast Ignite on the Mind Guzzler. I gotta stop those Devours, or I'm very close to losing the game, actually. She's gonna prep Spectral Echo and Ignite. Diamond Clusters are worth 6 power, and a Focusing Orb. Man. She'll use that to open Phadraxia's 3rd breach. And with the 6 power, she'll buy Blasting Staff and a charge. So I mean, like, that's over 30 life in just minions, and I'm doing 2 damage a turn. That's not good. Not good. All right. Cast Spectral Echo, 2 damage to the Mind Guzzler. Destroy Crystal. Prep Amplify Vision to 3rd breach, Focusing Orb on her 4th breach, and generates 3 power for a charge. Next turn, 2 Jades, 2 Sparks, Focusing Orb. She does get to go again, that's nice. Casts Amplify Vision, does 2 damage to the Mind Guzzler, dropping it to 5, and that opens her 4th breach. So at least her breaches got open. That's nice. I will then prep 2 Sparks. I will use Focusing Orb on Gian's 3rd breach. And then with the 2 Jades, I will buy 2 charges. I can afford the Blasting Staff, but I will also, on Jan's next turn, I'll get that 5th charge. So I wanted to make sure I got her special ability up, just because that's crazy. I gotta nullify one of those turns. That's too much going on. And here we got Diamond Cluster, Verswood, 2 crystals, and Twinkling Shard. That's 9 power. So almost enough to generate her special ability again. So maybe I got a shot. But I only can survive 4 unleashes. If I don't touch another spell from the store, another store item, the rest of the game, 4 unleashes will kill me. So I can survive 3. And he still has 68 life. Plus all those tier 3 cards, just a lot of the basic ones. Those can actually kill your mages or Greyfold. Yeah. I don't see how I could possibly win this. I just don't have enough offensive power, firepower. But we will try. 2 Sparks, both +1. So 4 damage to the Mind Guzzler, dropping them to 1. I then generate 4, 6, 7 power. I will buy a Blasting Staff and a charge. So next turn, Jade, 2 Verswoods, Diamond Cluster, and a Crystal. So that's 6, 8, 9 power generation. But again, no spells. And what am I going to do with that? Other than buy more cards to add to my massive deck. 2, okay. So these both do 2 damage. I can't use either of their alternate abilities. So the first 2 we're going to use to kill the Mind Guzzler. Yay. And then we're going to do 2 damage to the Needlemaw. He's not the biggest threat, but he's almost dead. He's got the lowest life. I will then prep Spectral Echo, focus 3rd breach. And this gives me 4, 5 power, 6 to gain a gem. I'll buy. Is that right? 5 power. Yeah. Okay. I was wondering if I could buy a charge too, but I can't. So this is definitely going worse than my previous video, which is kind of a first. Usually I get a little bit closer each time. So Spectral Echo, Blasting Staff, Diamond Cluster, Firstwood, and a Crystal. And we get Phadraxia again. She's got no spells, only gems. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. She will buy 2 Amplified Visions. That's it. Two Verswoods, Jade, Crystal, and a Focusing Orb. So again, 7 power, no offensive ability whatsoever. Nemesis goes. I'm just going to activate her ability right off of that. So that cancels out that damage, it cancels out that damage, and that cancels out that damage. So that would have been, by the way, 5 damage to Gravehold plus 2 damage to a player. And then this Magus power 1. Discard, spend 7 power. The player with the most charges suffers 4 damage and loses all of their charges. Okay. And then we get Jan. So she's going to cast Spectral Echo and destroy this crystal, doing 2 damage to the Nidamoo. She's then going to prep Spectral Echo. And I can make that. It's so inefficient. But I will use Blasting Staff to cast Spectral Echo for 4 damage to the Godfeeder, dropping him to 4. And then I still generate 4 power. And I will buy Amplify Vision. Does that make sense? I'm going to redo that a little bit. Okay. So reset. What we're going to do instead, we're going to generate 4 power. I'm going to use 2 of that for a special ability. Then we're going to use her special ability to cast that Spectral Echo to kill the Nidamoo. 2 damage. Puts in discard. Or no, it doesn't discard it because I use a special ability for it. Then I use the additional 2 power to purchase a single charge, bringing me back up to 1. Then I use the Blasting Staff on the Spectral Echo and do 4 damage to the Godfeeder, bringing him to 4. I like that better. Okay. Next turn, Ignite and 5 power generation. And we do get the Nemesis again. Oh, fuck. Sorry, not supposed to swear, I guess, on YouTube. I probably just lost. Okay. Gravehold takes 3 damage. Drops me to 4. Venomite is going to do 2 damage to Jan, dropping her to 4. From 6 to 4. Magus activates. I don't have 7 power. Oh, can I just use this? I really need to look that up in the rule book on discards if I'm allowed to. Okay. Power card example. Nope, I can't. I can only do that during my main phase. All right, so that does activate. Player with the most charges suffers 4 damage. That is Jan, so that Jan becomes exhausted. So she loses all 4 life. She loses her charge, and she gets her first breach destroyed. Now, if she takes any damage, the rest of this game does double damage instead to Gravehold. Not good. So I didn't lose, but very, very close. And again, I still have 2 creatures on the board with, 4, 9 life, 13 life. I have nothing prepped. And, yeah, just 68 life on Prince of Gluttony. So this is an awful setup. I don't know what I was thinking. All right. Draxia first. She's going to destroy this focusing orb to heal 3 to Gravehold. And then she generates 7 power to buy 3 charges. just never got any. I forgot to buy spells, basically. We're going to prep Spectral Echo. Destroy this focus. We'll use this focusing orb. Try to get her. Oh, so that stays here. And then 4 power. Get her special ability up. 2 charges. Okay. Focusing orb, amplify vision, spark, 2 jades. Okay, Nemesis is going to go. We're going to activate Auspex Rune. That cancels out the damage from the Gog Feeder and the Venomite. And then we draw Memory Eater. I've never seen this one before. So this is a 16 life tier 3 minion. The player with the lowest life suffers damage equal to the number of empty supply piles. Holy crap. So that would have done 6 damage to Gian, which would have been 12 to Gravehold. And the flavor text on that is, sometimes I think it is a blessing to have forgotten so much of my past. Although that's actually a creature. 16 life. So that is going to do that 6 damage on the next Nemesis activation, and I lose the game. Okay. Jan's going to prep and ignite. She generates 5 power. I don't know, buy 2 charges, I guess. Spectral Echo, Ignite, focusing on Blessing Staff, Diamond Cluster. Nemesis goes. I don't have my special ability up, so that's going to be game, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. This does 2 damage, 3 damage. This does 2 damage, and then this does 12 damage to Gravehold. Oh, all right. I guess technically I can take that on for Draxi. So 3 damage. Oh no, that does it too. Oh yeah, well, okay. Gravehold's going to take 3 damage, drops us to 4. Venomite does 2 damage to Phadraxia. Memory Eater does 6 damage to Phadraxia. Bring her to 1. And then we draw a card. Unleash twice, Gravehold suffers 4 damage. So that's game right there. Big loss. Lessons learned. I need spells. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to do the... If I'm gonna have them eat the 9 cards, 1 of each, in the beginning of the store, I don't think I'm gonna put them in reverse order like that, where I have to buy all 3 gems and both relics before I can get a single spell. It made it too difficult to get any spells early on. I did buy, I think I bought a single Oblivion spell, but even though I bought all these Spectral Echoes too, I don't feel like I got to curate my deck very well. I got rid of 1 crystal for Phadraxia. On Jan, she got rid of 4 sparks and 2 crystals. So I should have made use of Phadraxia's ability on her unique card to destroy cards. Even though I didn't have the healing, I think that would have been better off. I think I might swap. No, I don't want Essence Death, actually. I want to have this be a 4-cost spell. I'm going to have all 4-cost spells. I'm just to go even cheaper on that. I'll take a look and see which one I want to do first. What else would I change? I would swap out Gian for Kadir so that I can get that 1 point of healing, and so I can get that extra offensive ability with the spell generation. So you have Phadraxia for defense and Kadir for offense and healing. I think that's probably a much better combination to go with. I also might take Gian with Zaxos for some offensive ability. I don't know. This didn't work. Do not recommend. My charge generation was okay. But, like, look at these. This is huge. And it's mostly gems. Like, here's a spark. Blasting staff. So there's 3 damage. There's 3 damage. There's 3 damage. Or 4, technically, each. And that's it. And there's no spells in here. So, way too many gems. Nowhere near enough spells. And that's really all there is to it. I needed a much better ratio of spells and gems. I might even get rid of focusing orbs. Because they didn't even really cost me the game. I just like them because of having the ability to heal Grateful. So, anyway, I'm going to think hard about this. I'm going to give it a little minute, and then I'm going to give it another go. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you had fun either way. And if you've been watching, you're the best. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.